Beneath every forest, an invisible war has raged for 400 million years. Plant roots don't just anchor trees. They shatter mountains, dissolve bedrock, and transform lifeless stone into the living substrate that makes all terrestrial life possible. What's the most powerful geological force on Earth? Volcanoes? Earthquakes, glaciers? Try roots. A single tree root can generate enough pressure to crack concrete. It can force its way through solid granite. It can dissolve minerals that would take rivers thousands of years to erode. And it does this silently, invisibly, continuously for 400 million years. Did you know that plant roots move more rock than all of Earth's rivers combined? This isn't a metaphor, it's geology. The ground beneath your feet isn't just dirt. It's a battlefield where plants have been waging a chemical and mechanical war against the planet itself. And they're winning. By the end of this episode, you'll understand how plants became Earth's most prolific geological engineers, how they transformed lifeless continents of bedrock into meters-deep soil, how they changed the chemistry of Earth's crust, and why without this invisible revolution, nothing you know about terrestrial life would exist. This is the story of the ultimate terraforming project. Not done with tools or technology, done with roots. How does a plant destroy mountains? Early Devonian, 400 million years ago. Plants have been on land for 70 million years. They've evolved vascular tissue, wood, and basic root systems. But soil is still primitive. Dig down anywhere on land and you'd hit bedrock within half a meter, sometimes less. The soil that exists is mostly rock fragments with a thin layer of decayed plant matter on top. Why does this matter? Because shallow soil means fragile ecosystems. A drought kills everything. A flood washes everything away. Plants cling to existence in a thin buffer between rock and air. To build stable, resilient terrestrial ecosystems, you need depth. You need soil measured in meters, not centimeters. But soil doesn't fall from the sky. It has to be made. And the only things that can make it are organisms, specifically plants and their microbial partners. The question is, how do you turn solid rock into soil? The answer is violent, patient, and relentless. Let's start with mechanics. A root grows by cell division at its tip. New cells push the root forward into soil or cracks in rock. When a root encounters resistance, solid stone, it doesn't stop. It can't. Growth is programmed. So it pushes and pushes. The pressure a root can generate is extraordinary. Did you know that a growing root can exert over 1 megapascal of pressure? That's equivalent to a car resting on your thumbnail. Stone resists. But stone has weaknesses. Microscopic cracks, crystal boundaries, layers where different minerals meet. Roots find these weaknesses. They push into hairline fractures. As they grow thicker, they wedge the cracks open, millimeter by millimeter. This is mechanical weathering, physical destruction of rock through force. But force alone is slow. A root would take centuries to split a boulder, so plants evolved chemical warfare. Root tips secrete acids, organic compounds that dissolve minerals. They release enzymes that break down crystal structures. Different acids work on different rocks. Citric acid attacks limestone, oxalic acid dissolves granite. Plants don't know what rock they're growing into. They just produce multiple acids and let chemistry do the work. How does a mindless organism develop sophisticated chemical weapons? Evolution through trial and error. Roots that released acids accessed more nutrients. They grew better, reproduced more. Their acid-producing genes spread. Over millions of generations, root chemistry became incredibly refined. But there's a third player in this war against rock: fungi. Remember mycorrhizal relationships, the ancient partnership between plants and fungi? They're not just about nutrient exchange. They're about geological destruction. Fungal hyphae, thread-like structures, are even thinner than root hairs. They can penetrate cracks too small for roots to enter. And fungi produce some of the most aggressive acids in nature. They secrete enzymes that break down virtually any organic or mineral compound. They can dissolve metals, they can decompose stone. Did you know that fungi can weather rock 10 times faster than abiotic processes like rain and temperature cycling? The partnership works like this. Plant roots push into major fractures. They wedge rocks apart, creating space. Fungal hyphae invade the microscopic cracks the roots can't reach. They dissolve minerals from the inside. The combination is devastating. A tree with mycorrhizal partners doesn't just access nutrients from soil. It actively mines bedrock. Over a tree's lifetime, decades or centuries, its roots and fungal partners can penetrate several meters down, shattering and dissolving everything in their path. When the tree dies, all that broken rock remains, mixed with organic matter from decomposed roots. Loosened, fragmented, that's soil formation. One tree makes a few cubic meters of soil. A forest makes kilometers of it. But here's where it gets really interesting. As rocks break down, they release minerals: calcium, phosphorus, potassium, iron. These minerals were locked in crystal structures for billions of years. Suddenly they're available for plants to absorb, for fungi to use, for bacteria to metabolize. The chemistry of Earth's surface changed. Before plants, rock weathering was slow, driven only by rain, temperature, and time. A granite mountain might erode a few millimeters per 1,000 years. After plants, weathering accelerated by orders of magnitude. Why? Because biological weathering is active, not passive. It targets weaknesses, it's continuous, it compounds over time. Did you know that the rate of rock weathering increased by 10 to 100 times after plants colonized land? This had consequences no one could predict. Here's the cascade. More weathering means more minerals released into the environment. More minerals mean richer soil. Richer soil means more plant growth. More plant growth means more roots. More roots mean more weathering. It's a positive feedback loop, a runaway process. Within 50 million years of plants colonizing land, soil depth across continents increased from centimeters to meters. But there's a dark side. Remember what happens when you dissolve rock? You release calcium and other minerals that wash into rivers. Rivers carry them to oceans. In the ocean, calcium reacts with carbon dioxide to form calcium carbonate, limestone. This removes CO2 from the atmosphere. The more rock plants weather, the more CO2 gets locked into seafloor sediments. Sound familiar? This is the same process that helped trigger ice ages during the Carboniferous. What if plant roots were so effective at weathering rock that they destabilized global climate? Not just once, but repeatedly throughout Earth's history? Because that's exactly what happened. Did you know that major ice ages often correlate with periods of rapid plant evolution and expansion? Plants cool the planet, not just through photosynthesis removing CO2, but through weathering processes that lock carbon into stone. The Ordovician Ice Age, around 450 million years ago, coincides with the first land plants. The Carboniferous Ice Age coincides with the massive forests of spore bearers. Every time plants conquer new territory or evolve more aggressive root systems, they accelerate weathering. CO2 drops, temperatures fall. Plants are climate engineers, they terraform planets. And they do it underground where no one sees. Let's fast forward to 300 million years ago. Continents are now covered in deep soil. Not thin crusts, but rich profiles with distinct layers. Topsoil full of organic matter. Subsoil with accumulated minerals. Weathered bedrock below that. This soil holds water, it stores nutrients. It buffers against temperature changes. It creates stable environments where plants can thrive for generations. And stability enables complexity. In shallow soil, only opportunistic species survive. Fast-growing colonizers that reproduce quickly before the next disaster. In deep soil, long-lived species can establish. Trees that live for centuries. Complex root systems that take decades to develop. Deep soil enabled forests to become permanent fixtures rather than temporary green phases. Why does permanence matter? Because permanent forests create permanent ecosystems. Insects that specialize on specific plants can evolve. Herbivores that require consistent food sources can thrive. Predators that need stable prey populations can establish territories. Food webs become intricate. Energy flows become efficient. Terrestrial ecosystems finally rival marine ones in complexity and productivity. And it all traces back to roots breaking rock. Did you know that without deep soil, land vertebrates probably couldn't have evolved to large sizes? Large animals need stable ecosystems with abundant, reliable food. That requires productive plant communities, which require deep soil. No soil depth, no dinosaurs. No mammoths, no humans. The ground beneath our feet is the foundation of everything that walks, crawls, or runs on land. But soil does more than support life. It shapes geography. Deep soil changes how water moves. Instead of running straight off rock into rivers, water infiltrates. It flows underground through soil layers. This creates springs, maintains river flow during dry seasons, prevents flash floods. Rivers in forested areas with deep soil are stable, meandering, and rich with sediment. Rivers in barren areas with shallow soil are violent, unpredictable, and erosive. The presence of soil transforms hydrology, and hydrology determines where animals can live, where civilizations can form, where agriculture is possible. Human civilization exists because 400 million years of plant roots created soil deep enough to grow crops in. By 350 million years ago, continents were transformed. Deep soil, stable forests, complex ecosystems. Plants had won the geological war. They had broken the planet and rebuilt it in a form that sustained them. But soil wasn't just the end of a process. It was the beginning of another. Because deep, rich soil created opportunities that didn't exist before. It created environments where moisture persisted even during dry seasons. Permanent inland habitats far from oceans and rivers. And those habitats were about to attract colonizers that had been waiting in the shallows for millions of years. Animals with backbones, animals with lungs. Animals that could walk. The soil was ready. The air was rich with oxygen. The forests were full of food. Everything was prepared for the next great invasion. What happens when vertebrates, the most sophisticated animals in the ocean, decide to follow plants onto land? Next episode, First Steps Ashore. How fish developed legs, lungs, and the audacity to leave the ocean, becoming the first tetrapods and setting the stage for all land vertebrates, including us. This is HistoPrimordia, where history comes alive. Thanks for watching. Subscribe now and join us for the next episode story.